Hey folks, Leroy here once again. Hope you enjoyed my review of Avengers Endgame. If y'all saw my recently post, I know I said I wasn't going to do videos very much, but today I actually got some time to do a video, and yeah, I know. But anyway, I'm sorry. You know what it is to post. But again, I will be getting a job again at FedEx, hopefully. I got orientation on Monday, so I figured today, since today's Saturday, and maybe tomorrow, maybe do another review, or maybe tonight if I get time again. I don't know, folks, but I'm gonna keep trying. Not quitting YouTube. It's just, guys, I need to work. I need to be making money. Thank you guys for the 250 subscribers. Keep on subscribing, guys. Remember, guys, I'm not quitting. If I'm not here, it's just because I have to I have a job coming up soon and I have to work. I have to make the money, okay? I'm sorry. Anyway, guys, like I said, hope you enjoyed my review of Avengers Endgame. Great movie. Love that film. This next review, however, is for a 2019 superhero film that is the 12th film to the X-Men in the X-Men film series. Twelfth installment and the fourth and final installment of these prequel films, a sequel basically to X Men First Class, and Days of Future Past, and X Men Apocalypse. And then, of course, is X Men Dark Phoenix. This is going to be another rant. I'm sorry. I hated this movie. I hated this freaking movie. Yeah, this is the movie on 4K and Blu-ray, and you're probably thinking, Levo, if you hate this movie, well, because my mom got it for me. But this is like this stuff in here is like a little map. The only thing I like about this movie, the poster does look cool, making you think it looks like an epic movie, but it's not. Yeah, this is the Blu-ray and the 4K version. I really don't care on this anymore. I'm not gonna have this anymore because yeah, it's interesting to maybe watch behind the scenes of the movie stuff. But if I don't care about the movie itself, then why should I have it in the first place? Well, I'm glad I just have it for this review. Or they just call the film Dark Phoenix, X-Men Dark Phoenix. Whatever. It's still an X-Men movie to me, regardless. It's just a shitty one. Anyway, let's get into this review because I don't want to be sitting here all night talking about this crap. Sorry, moving the chair up a little bit. For the production of the movie, when he joined the team making the X2, writer Zach Penn convinced director Bryan Singer not to adapt the Marvel Comics storyline Dark Phoenix for the film. Believe me, it was too soon to go into the Phoenix story, and it was too soon to get to Cosmic, which was, and then we got X Men Last Stand. Now, X Men Last Stand, these two movies ruined the Phoenix saga. This just did it even worse. I mean, that movie's underwhelming too, and I hate what they do with the characters, but this movie I just hate even more. Yeah, Zach Penn was smarter to say to Bryan Singer, it is too soon. And I think he had a good script for X Men 3, but Brett Ratner messed that up. Brett Ratner and Simon Kimber, who directed this movie, they both screwed up. Should have been Bryan Singer making this Phoenix Saga. I'm hoping if we get like a reboot, the failure of this film, if we get like a reboot of an X Men film, do the Phoenix justice. You know, the character of Jean Grey Phoenix was instead subplotted, with the intention of the full story being adapted in the next film instead. Singer did not return to direct the sequel, though, of course, it's film stand because he went on to go direct Superman Returns. Therefore, Brett Ratner was chosen to direct instead, which was a bad idea, I think. And especially for Singer to go direct Superman Returns was not a good idea. The studio chose to adapt the Dark Phoenix saga as only one of the film's storylines, with the executives at 20th Century Fox. And of course, they added it here too. I do think this movie was studio. I think X Men Last Stand got studio interference as well. You think about it, at that time, you had Spider-Man 2 that came out in 2004. That was a huge hit for Marvel. That was a huge hit of a movie. You know, yeah. So written by Penn and Simon Kimber, which was directed by Brett Ratner instead. Studio chose to adapt the story with, you know, this version of the story was not well received by fans and critics. Kimber stated that he and Penn were unhappy with how the adaptation turned out as well. You didn't make it any better with this movie. After the time of the X-Men franchise was reconnected with Days of Future Past, it was that the new adaptation of Dark Phoenix could be made that ignores the events of the Last Stand. Kimberg and Singer both interested in the project and hinted X-Men Apocalypse would set up elements for retelling. Apocalypse introduces Sophia Turner as a young Jean Grey and begins exploring how powerful she is. February 2016, the sequel to Apocalypse was being rumored to indeed be a readaptation of the Dark Phoenix saga. In May 2016, Kimberg said that the next X-Men film would be set in the 1990s, advanced a decade, as had been done for each of the previous X-Men films. He also noted that Apocalypse had introduced younger versions of several characters from the original X-Men films, give them a new origin story, including Storm, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, and Jean Grey, with the intention of them exploring them in online films. He added that he also the cast of the film's return, namely James McCoy, of course, Michael Fassbender, everyone was coming back as Professor Xavier and Magneto and Mystique, or Raven. I'm just gonna call her Raven. In July, Kimberly said he will begin writing the next X-Men film real soon. That November, Fox is said to be pressing the reset button on the franchise due to the financial critical underperformance of Apocalypse. Of course, studios like, well, Fox and said, well, let's hey, we screwed up the Phoenix story again, so let's do it again. You know, you know. This is why studios should not be making decisions of how film should be done. You know, with the franchise being recomforted, Singer not returning to direct the next film. McCoy Fassbender launched the contracts from the previous trilogy had ended, but Kimber was writing the new script with them in mind. It was rumored in February 2017 the next film will be titled X-Men Supernova. I'm like, it sounds like a really bad sci-fi channel movie for that title. But honestly, I rather rest the sci-fi channel movies. Sci-fi channel movies are bad, but at least they're laughable. You know, it was, also in February, Turner confirmed that she would return for the film. Kimber would believed to be interested in making his directorial debut with the film. And was described as top tenor for the job was interest from the Fox. And yeah, I did see the making of it in the cast talking about like, what a great job he's doing. He's born to this. He could keep on making movies forever. Sophia turned this interview. I'm like, no, I don't think he should. The studio is also looking to negotiate now deals with Lawrence, Fabezer, and McCoy to help to return by the end of the month. He described reports that he might direct the film as premature, but added that if he were to direct, he would not be daunted by the scale of the film due to the experience writing and producing many of the other X-Men films. He also that he would adapt the Dark Phoenix saga, carefully that it hadn't less time, if given an opportunity to do so. Simon Kimber also wrote the screenplay for this movie as well. Sorry. The movie will work as an origin story about how Jean Grey becomes the Phoenix and would center around her struggling with mental issues. Research was done on various trauma-related mental illness. They revealed that originally the film was to feature the return of Emma Frost, a new creation of the Hellfire Club. The new members are Harry, Clement, okay, and the Red Lotus Gang. They were replaced with the Skrulls of the film's villains as the script was rewritten. They were replaced with the Darbar after reshoots. These are like, it's an alien form or whatever. However, the role the aliens played in the story was still based on the Hellfire Club. Jessica Chastain's character being inspired by Mastermind and Emma Frost, which they didn't do nothing with her. January Jones was gorgeous, but had nothing to do as that character, just to stand around and look hot. More concept art revealed that the scene with the girl watching Charles Xavier at the White House was an element from the earlier script, as the Hellfire Club can be seen watching the event on television at their lair. Brian Singer, he got accused of sexual allegations, so he was not allowed to do this movie. Kimber said that at the start of March 2017, he and producer Hutch Parker had begun early prep on the film. Supernova was just a code name that they had been using for the sequel. They began discussing the story for the film during post production. They wanted to do something bold and radical and expand the universe in the same way that Logan feels bold, and certainly Deadpool does as well. And pitching the film to the studio, Kimber used real world imaginary such as footage, disasters, and lightning strikes, focused on an organic and grounded approach as from criticism of apocalypse heightened reality. Fox officially titled the film Dark Phoenix in 2017, gave it a release date of November 2nd, 2018. Fassbender hinted that he would be returning for the film. Parker's son hinted that young version of the character Rogue could be appear, and the film might explore the comic elements of the Dark Phoenix storyline. Fox confirmed that Kimber would direct the film, and McCoy Fassbender they signed up to return for one more film. In addition to Turner, actors Alexander Shipp, Ty Sheridan, and Kato Smith were also confirmed returning. Yeah. Chastain was talked to join the cast as Shamar Empress Larenda, the film's villain. Despite being listed as a producer, Laura Sardano had no involvement in the film. It was only given credit due to contract terms. It was maybe she just got tired of doing X-Men movies. Or being hinted that the scene was officially deleted from Apocalypse. Singer was originally announced as being a producer on the film, but following allegations of sexual abuse against him, they said that he was not involved in the film and his name would not be in the film's credits. Daniel Orndling returned as costume designer from the film after doing so on Logan. He worked with Kimber to come up with costumes for the X-Men that were close to the original comic designs. They wanted to see in the films ever since he joined. Yeah. For the X-Men were their original comics suit designs. but I had never seen him promotion to control before. The costumes for the film featured yellow and blue design of the original comics. Future designs were for many incarnations of the group. Kimberg also looked to Logan for general inspiration. Wonder we could like a naturalistic and handmade quality of that film for the costume sets and props and title design. He felt that this would give more to the large scale elements of the film, being more so compared to the idea of the original Star Wars films. Filming began on June 28, 2017, under the work title Teen Spirit. Before the end of the month, Evan Peters was set to respire his role as audience favorite Quicksilver. Limber Johnson joined the cast as well. She has confirmed her involvement in the film at the start of August. She was interested in the story after turning down roles in other superhero films due to focus on female characters. She later revealed that she was not actually playing Lorendo, whatever. Ken Burke said he wanted the film to be human and emotional like every X-Men film. He later clarified that the film would still include alien characters in the comic storyline that was known for the Last Stand adaptation, but which he felt was intentional to the story. Clauses from previous films in this franchise. Olivia Munn said that she would respect her as she did in the previous movie, but by February 2019, she revealed that she was unable to respond to the role due to scheduling working on the film The Predator. Yeah, I think that film sucks too. Kimber revealed that the film would be in post production for almost a year, longer than for the series. I think there were like reshoots for this movie. He did tell one singer who left the franchise that the vision for the film was so clear in my head. The film described as being the most sinister some of the franchise. Quite finding it must be the most of the X-Men films he had worked on. Because of fight for Jean's soul. Lawrence revealed that she had worked to convince Kimber to direct the film and had promised to return it if he did so. Despite her dislike of the makeup prepared to portray her character, then why do it in the first place? Yeah. It was revealed that the film would introduce a person to the island. Moon led by Magneto, that it would focus on the female characters more than the previous film series. Yeah. Fox delayed the film's release in March 2018. Wanted to schedule some routine reshoots for the film after receiving feedback from audiences during a test screening. We're not able to get all the necessary cast members together until August or September. This would have not left enough time to complete post-production, such as visual effects for additional footage. Kimber was looking to rewrite the third act of the film, but rewrote the script ahead of the reshoots. The film was believed to have been under budget, but the planning reshoots would cost less than $10 million for reshoots of the movie, which have proved to be successful for Deadpool. Yeah. The new February release date was noted as having the film opening away from major studios, which placing on present day weekend, which proved to be successful for Deadpool and Black Panther. Just in the reshoots, Kimber confirmed that scheduling delays were targeted as no more part of the film's creation. At the end of April, Japan 2019, the first look at the film, it did not include X-Men in the title. Around the X, it just included Dark Phoenix. I don't remember much marketing for the movie, but you do have the cast here. I guess at the WonderCon 2019 talking about the film. I do remember the trailers. That's all I remember. I don't remember too many commercials. Apparently, there's a music video for the movie. Extraordinary Being. Yeah. Dark Phoenix, which was shipped by 20th Century Fox, has premiered on June 4, 2019. And it was released worldwide on June 7, 2019. Yeah, it seems like the critics did not care for this film. Yeah, even was set up from Golden Raspberries. Can't much responsibility for the film's poor reception saying, I'm saying when a movie doesn't work. Put it on me. I'm the writer the movie didn't connect with the audience, that's on me. Yeah. Yeah. However, in behind the scenes feature, the making of the movie, the cast crew said they did not intend to make a feminist message. You pretty much did. Yeah. Kimber Lightward said that in certain moments, clearly member with Ray would suggest the name of the team be changed to X Woman for attempting to pander to female audiences, which they described as cheeky. He compared these to similar moments of the blockbuster films. Yeah, sorry. Stan Lee was an executive producer on this movie, and sadly he passed away on November 12th, 2018, dedicated to memory. No, the real movie that's dedicated to his memory is Avengers Endgame, because that showed him more respect. That gave us a great movie, and the Endgame did. That I felt more of the emotion in that movie. Here, I feel nothing. Nothing but anger. Anyway, for the cast of the movie, I don't care for this cast at all. I like Evan Peters, but honestly, I'll get to that later. But James McCoy returns as first Charles Xavier. In Munich, Papacis, he's founded X-Men Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters. Of course, he has the power to read minds and to even freeze people with his mind. He has cerebral. You know, I know James McCoy's been, with this franchise since the first X-Men movie, First Class, Days of Future Past, and of course Apocalypse. He did a movie called Split. I know I never cared for him as an actor. I don't like him. Michael Fassbender's Eric Lyncher, Magneto, a powerful man who can control magnetic fields, manipulate metal. Him and Xavier are former best friends. They have different ideas. Why? For Charles, he wants people, humans and mutants, to coexist with one another, that they can get along, basically, and work together. But Magneto doesn't see it that way. Michael Fassbender, he plays Steve Jobs. He was in that Prometheus movie, and of course in X-Men First Class, Days of Future Past, and Apocalypse. Jennifer Lawrence as Raven Darkholme, Mystique, a shapeshifting mutant, and Xavier's adopted sister. Yeah, Mystique, who can shapeshift into anybody. Jennifer Lawrence, though, she was in the first movie. I liked her in the first movie. I liked Days of Future Past, but Apocalypse, and especially in this movie, it seems like she didn't care. I liked her in the movie Passenger. I know that name of that movie. So let me look it up. Passengers, just Passengers with the Chris Pratt, which I liked her in that movie. That was a good film. I never really cared about the Home Games. I do think she's a bit overrated as an actress, in my opinion. And Nicholas Hoult as Hank McCoy Beast, a mutant with a beastly appearance and superhuman physical abilities. I'm sort of messing up here. At least you guys, I'm sorry. Uh, Nicholas Hoult, I know he's going to be Lex Luthor in the new Superman, which I'm not too sure about because I didn't like him in this movie. I didn't like him at all in the previous thing. Well, Days of Future Past was good. That's because he's working with Brian Singer. But the other two movies, Days First Class and Apocalypse, I didn't care. Sophia Turner comes back as Jean Grey Phoenix. I don't care for this actress. Extremely powerful mutant scarred with intelligent powers. One of Xavier's most prized students. Her Phoenix Eyes Unleashed. Oh, she's an English actress. I don't care for her. I didn't care for her next one, Apocalypse. Ty Sheridan as Scott Summers Cyclops. He's alright. Not a big fan. The only movie I think of was for Apocalypse and Ready Player One, which was directed by Steven Spielberg. Scott Cyclops is a mutant who fires these concussive these beams out of his eyes. When he shoots at you with it, he can't look at another person without destroying them. It's like beams that come out of his eyes. Alexander Ship comes back as Orman Monroe Storm, a mutant who can control the weather. She was in the X-Men. Klaus M. Peters as Peter Maxwell Quicksilver. Uh, he was in the first Kick-Ass movie, just having a short part, and X-Men: Days of Future Past and Apocalypse. But I hate to spoil it, but in this movie, yeah, I Never Back Down. I liked him in Never Back Down. He had a cameo though as in Deadpool 2, and so did some of the other X-Men in this movie. Some of the cast in this movie had cameos. Yeah, better look for these characters to be behind closed doors, in my opinion. Cody Smith McPhee as Kurt Weiner Nightcrawler, a German mutant who can teleport. Didn't care for him. Jessica Chastain, a beautiful actress, I'm sure. Leader of the shapeshifting alien race known as the Delbar. I guess they got something to do with the comics. Okay, they do. I don't care. Sorry. Scott Shepard and plays John Gray, Jean's father. Some of the cast members I just don't care about. Yeah. And the film is directed and written by Simon Kinberg. Like I said, who wrote the script for XX State of the Union, Mr. and Mrs. Smith movies, especially XX State of the Union, I do not care for. I didn't care for X Men Last Stand, but X Men Last Stand, That movie had better action. You know, I'm gonna keep comparing X Men Last Stand to this movie a little bit. Some stuff. At least that movie tried, but it failed. But it was not a huge, big disappointment like this movie was. At least that made money. I'm sure it did. Jumper, which I like Jumper, with Hayden Christensen, who I believe is his birthday today, who played Anakin Skywalker. Happy birthday. Of course, he worked on X Men First Class, produced that, which I hate that movie. Days of Future Past, but at least he didn't direct it, thank God. Yeah. Brian Singer was a jerk for what he did. If he did, I don't know, but those are just allegations. But you know what? He knows how to direct an X Men movie. Tell me I'm wrong because X Men X2 are awesome movies, in my opinion. Funny, 1 year ago today on my other channel, I actually reviewed the first X Men movie. That's a better film than this. Fantastic Four 2015, which I don't mind. I'd rather Josh Trank direct an X Men movie. Yeah. He's also a producer on Deadpool, the first Deadpool and X Men Apocalypse. I love Deadpool. X Men Apocalypse sucked. Not because of him, though, this time. Brian Singer directed that, and that still sucks, so I'm not going to defeat Singer completely. Logan, which I loved. Deadpool 2, I loved. And of course, it said that he did not direct, but he did produce the New Mutants. Yeah, which is the final installment of the X Men films, unless Marvel tries to make any. Yeah. And I don't think he's directed a film after this. Yeah. Still produces, though, but he also produces the movie, so does Hutch Parker, Laura Showdonner. Even though she's not really involved, I guess I just had her name in. She's produced films like Free Willy 2, The Adventure Home, the first X-Men movie, X2. Like I said, she is the wife of the late Rich Donner, who directed Superman the movie, and the reason we get superhero movies today in comic book films. X-Men Last Stand, X-Men Wolverine. I believe she was involved with Wolverine because, yeah, because I think the studio was giving her the idea that they need to make an origin story for Wolverine, and they told her how to do the story. She's like, okay. And she was involved with First Class and the Wolverine, and Days of Future Past, and Deadpool 1 and 2, and the New Mutants, and Deadpool and Wolverine, which I'm sorry, is not. Yeah. Or Deadpool and Wolverine, that was connected to the MCU franchise. Yeah. Probably because the MCU saw how much this film sucked. It was like, no, we just make an MCU movie. Yeah. Cinematography is by Mauricio Floria. He's in it for Soldier Boys, Breaking Up, Get Carter, Driven. Was Get Carter, was that a Stallone movie? Oh, yeah, it is. And so is Driven. But I heard that movie sucked, so never seen it. Training Day with Denzel Washington, Ethan Hawke. The Island, was that? Okay, no, that was that. Yeah, Avatar, the A-Team remake. The movie with starring Liam Neeson that was based on the TV series. Spider-Man: No Way Home, Madam Web, Avatar 4. Yeah, edited by Lee Smith. Music's by Hans Zimmer, who's the music score for the Dark Knight trilogy, which again I do think that music is loud and very annoying and obnoxious to listen to. But I do like it. I love the score for the Joker though. I love his score to Amazing Spider-Man 2 as well. And I also love his score to The Lion King. But I didn't care for his score in here. I like his score to Man. I love his score to Man of Steel. I would defend that. I love that score. And I like his score to Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy. And I know he probably Lion King remake. Production company is 20th Century Fox did the music score for that. Marvel Entertainment, Kinberg Entry, Genre, Hotch Parker Productions, Bad Hat Harry Productions, The Donner's Company, TJ's Entertainment, 20th Century Fox, and also, like I said, Stan Lee, the late Stan Lee. This is probably before, probably sometime before his passed. Because this film was probably filmed early in 2017. Probably, I'm thinking it was. Really. And Stan Lee was probably working on the film, being as a producer. I don't know. But it's distributed by 20th Century Fox. It was released June 7th, 2019. I should mention June 4th, I think Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Direct a video, but that came out before this. I did share my review of that, guys. Just to mention that, by the way. I can't believe I forgot at the beginning of this video that I'm doing 2010's ever superhero reviews. Sorry if I forgot to mention that. Yeah, reviewing superhero movies 2010 and 2019, and we'll have 3 more movies after this. But anyway, the budget was $200 million. Box office made $252.4 million worldwide. So it's slightly past the budget, but it still is considered a flop. You know, it's one of the biggest box office films, big office bombs of all time. Wow. I was just looking at some other movies. I'm surprised. Yeah, but I can see why the movie was not that big of a hit of a film. Yeah. Ken said that the Dark Phoenix would be the first new trilogy, which the human version of the X Men, but that never happened. But due to their session of X Men Apocalypse, they didn't want to do it. So it's like the studio wanted to make this movie, but they had no faith in it. Yeah. Shortly after Walt Disney bought 20th Century Studios and Fox. Yeah. Patrick Stewart did come back and as Doctor Strange. I mean, as Professor X and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, but a pointless role. Kelsey Grammer reprised his role as Beast in the post-credit scene for the Marvels. And of course, Hugh Jackman did come back in Deadpool Wolverine, which is a better movie than this that came out last year. Yeah. If you hate this movie, go watch Deadpool Wolverine. That will refresh the entertainment out of you. Believe me. For the cast, yeah, for the cast. Anyway, I already got to that, but the film is still considered a flop. So it didn't even surpass its budget. Hardly. But anyway, so guys, the film is 154 minutes long, about 114 minutes long of running time. Guys, if you've not seen X Men Dark Phoenix, good for you. But if you haven't seen it and you ever tend to see the X Men films, you haven't seen this one, don't watch this review. Don't spoil it for yourself. So if you haven't seen X Men Dark Phoenix, whatever you call the damn movie, on X Men Dark Phoenix, I don't care. It's gonna be the title of this video review slash epic rant on this film. Yeah. But to me, it's just X Men Dark Phoenix. Just calling it Dark Phoenix is stupid. Yeah. But I'm gonna give the plot synopsis though for you. What this story is about is that the X-Men face their most formidable and powerful foe, but one of their own, Jean Grey, she spirals out of control. They have to go into they do a space mission. She gets all this power in her, and it brings out the Phoenix, which is a darker side of her. That is a creature that's like inside of her. It's like another ego that's very powerful. That can is very powerful, even more powerful than Professor X. So during this rescue mission in outer space, this happens. She nearly gets killed, hit by this cosmic force. Once she returns home, the force not only makes her more powerful, but far more unstable. She's unstable in her mind. In the X Men, there's of course Professor X, along with joined with Magneto, Mystique, Nightcrawler, Cyclops, Beast, and Storm, and Quicksilver here. Yeah, and I'm forgetting who else. They have to save her soul, and they also, by the way, have to battle aliens. Alien played by I don't see Jessica Chastain here. She and the other? No, we don't. But Jessica Chastain, who played this alien, Davar race. I can't say it right. But they want to use her new abilities. They want to grip. They want to use Jean. They want to, kind of make a friendship with it. Well, not make a friendship. What they want to do is use her power and abilities. They want to rule the galaxy, so they need Jean Grey. So the X-Men have to save her. So meanwhile, they have to fight against these aliens who want to take Jean's power and can take over the world and probably kill billions of people on the planet. So they have to save the world, basically. And save Jean, of course. Now, what I thought of this movie, like I said, this movie sucks. It's just awful. It's just a film I do not care about. Yeah, I can see why this flopped. It deserved it. But we'll get more into why that later. Alright, now I'm going to talk about the movie itself. So, warning you again, guys, if you've not seen this film, do not watch this review. Do not spoil it for yourself. You know, you want to talk about the film itself? We're in 30 minutes in? Okay. And no, I'm not going to read any quotes from the movie because I don't care to. We're going to talk about the movie. So again, there will be spoilers in this review. So if you've not seen X Men Dark Phoenix, turn off the review right now. Don't spoil it for yourself. But anyway, let's get into the movie stuff. So the film pretty much opens with the logos, Marvel, 20th Century Fox, is like X on it. And we open up at the year is 1975. We see young Jean Grey. She's like 8 years old, and she's driving with her parents, and they're listening to this music. And Jean's like, "I don't listen to music." Well, honey, we don't listen to this music all the way through. Then the music changes. She thinks, John Grey, whatever her father's name is, I don't care. Says that you did, it's like, "Did you change that radio?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Gene, are you doing that?" I don't know. I don't know. I'm doing that. No, just like Gene. No, Gene screaming. She's like, "Stop!" And she wrecks the car into another car. Her mother gets killed, and next thing you know, she meets Charles Xavier, played by James McCoy, telling her, "You're special, Gene. Your parents are dead. Your parents died. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to tell you that. But you can come live with it." He takes her to the Xavier School of the Gifted for gifted youngsters. He tells her, "You can be someone special. You can be somebody here. We can be your new family, Gene. I'm here to help you. My name's Professor Charles Xavier. Have young people like you with special powers that I can help you." And Gene accepts. And then we flash forward to the year is 1992. It takes place 9 years after the attacks on Earth by most pop-ups. The X-Men are now seen as heroes across the world, adored as superheroes. Everybody says, "Yeah, they're superheroes." People love them now. NASA is doing like a space mission or whatever. The space shuttle indoor. Well, especially in the U.S. it would be NASA, but they're doing a space mission. This cosmic force like attacks them or whatever in space. They get damaged by a solar flare, and I guess they have like a bat phone for Professor X because they give him a call. He's like, "We'll handle it," and the X-Men go out in their suits. Honestly, I didn't care for these suits that they're wearing. Yeah, these are like Comic Con rejects of suits. I've seen better at Comic Con have people wear better suits. Look a lot better than this. Yeah. They need to give the people at Comic Con a call and say, "Hey, you know what makes a suit better, a costume better?" Clearly they're trying to focus on being like the comics too much with that. Yeah, and it looks silly. Yeah, but not with Wolverine's costume and Deadpool and Wolverine. I can see why in the X-Men movies they didn't add those costumes. I do like a black suit though. I'm not gonna lie, I actually do like a black suits. You know, in the first two X-Men movies. But the president calls them, and Jean says we have to go save the shuttle. Beast tries to say something, and again, I don't like the whole fact Jennifer Lawrence. She just does not give a crap. You can just tell by her performance in here. She does not give a crap. So she convinces Simon Kimber to direct it, but it just seems like the cast, especially Evan Peters. By the way, he is useless in this film. If you're expecting a cool scene, with good music, you don't get that in this film. He's completely underused. The whole cast looks like they're bored, and they'd rather be drinking than being in this movie. But Jennifer Lawrence, they go into space, they fly into space, and she's like, "Kurt, can you jump in there and get those people, teleport?" Like, "I can't see where I'm going." Uh, I forget. I think it's well. To slow it down, Cyclops uses his beam. He does. The one thing I'll say though, it is cool that Cyclops uses his beams a couple of times. His beams a couple of times. He didn't really much in the original. In the original movies, he did, but not very much. And because they killed him off in X-Men 3. But here we get a little bit of him using his beams. That's one thing I'll say. But he uses his beam to shoot at the shuttle. Storm uses her power to slow it down. You know, Quicksilver and Nightcrawler teleports him over there. Gets these people fast. All of a sudden they say, "Well, we need to get there's a guy in the engine room." Like, why didn't you tell him that real quick? I mean, I get his Quicksilver's fast, but maybe you should have said something like, "There's a guy in the room." Thanks for telling us. Or I'm like, why? Thing is, Gene could read minds too. When I'm like, can you just tell how many people are in there? Or just check our beast control in the X chat. It is cool. Oh, they got the X chat under the basketball court, by the way. But can you just check and say, "Oh, it's this many people in there," so we don't forget anybody. So she asked Jean to be teleported out there. Jean used her power on the shuttle. That's when the comic force goes to her. He's like, "Where's Jean again? I can't. It wouldn't let me. I'm sorry." Mm. She's turned deep space absorbs the solar flare into her body, but Nightcrawler brings her back to the X chat. And Cyclops was like, come back to me, come back to me. He's like, I'm okay, Scott. Yeah. But they come back. They're applauded as heroes. Lady has like a toy of Cyclops. This little girl has a toy of Mystique. One little boy is like got makeup like Nightcrawler. They're praised as heroes. Like, yeah. And apparently Charles is a bit of a dickhead in this movie. He's like, at first he's like he's enjoying the attention, loving the attention, love being a hero. Even though he doesn't. And you know, Jennifer Lawrence, well, Raven doesn't agree with what he did. Says, Charles, you can get these kids, you're gonna get them killed out there. They're not kids anymore, Raven. They're X-Men. And they have this boring conversation, which, oh, and this is when she just is, and I hate to say it, but she's being a bitch. In this scene, she's like, which was, most, she's thinking they change the name because it's mostly the women that are saving the men around here. So you think about changing the name to X Women. I'm like, that's a feminist. This film was being feminist sexist. Captain Marvel was not. Captain Marvel was trying to point that a woman can be tough and just as strong as a man, that she can be willing to be do anything a man can do and prove herself. This movie, yeah, I don't remember Brie Larson character Captain Marvel saying anything sexist about a man. No, I don't remember that. That film had a better, interesting story than this. And Captain Marvel's green suit in the beginning, her for being on the Star Force or Kree Force was much better, and her Captain Marvel suit was much better. Yeah, and her being in space was more badass than them being in space. Yeah, her flying was a lot more cool. I've seen the Marvels. In the Marvels, despite some problems, was better than this. I can get more entertainment out of that than this freaking movie. It seems like that cast actually had a good time making the movie. This cast is not. So she talks about Beast and McCoy who checks on her, and they said, Jean and Cyclops, they ever talk like, well, yeah, baby, I'm ready to go party. So they go party for the night. This one unit who's like freaking Taylor Swift is singing, you know, strong music and probably gives everybody ice in their cups. And they're partying, and Jennifer Lawrence is talking about, I'm going to leave the X Men. I'm done. I don't agree. Charles has completely changed. Something different about him. Then, Jane just starts the power that the radiation of that solar cosmic flare, cosmic radiation affects her. Oh, no, oh, no, and attacks everybody. Nearly hurts everybody. And Xavier realizes that he did use Jean's mind to block out the terms of the car crash. And she's like sitting on the bed. She thinks about it. She's like, get out of my head, get out of my head. He's like, Jean, I'm here to help you. Calm down. Listen to my voice. As he's using Cerebro, but Cerebro's not. He's not powerful enough. She's more stronger than him. His nose starts. He has a nosebleed. He passes out. But we find out, Charles, you lied more about that. You lied about her parents dying in the accident. As it turns out, her father, John Gray, is still alive. But even though he did the good for a reason, which we'll get to later, Jean then leaves the X Mansion. First Cyclops tries to stop her. Like, Jean, don't go anywhere. I'm here to help you. I love you. And she used her powers to uh, pass him out. And so she leaves the X Mansion. She goes to her family home. Sees a kid riding a bike that knocks on her father's door. Is like, Dad. And she notices that there are no photos of her mother. And he questions her father. Never looked for her after the accident. She knows she can read minds. Jean sees that the mind that this happened, that he did. She was like, "Why didn't you find me?" She only breaks the water that he's going to give her some water cup. She smashes it with her powers, about to attack him. But the X Men shows up. Is like, Jean, stop it, Jean. That's not me. And she just passes her father out after questioning him. He's like, "Well, you took my world that day, Jean," and he presented her for the death. Then the X arrives along with Xavier. She says, "Jean, you have a family. I don't have a family." He's like, "You do," and then Scott. He's like, "You'll come back to me. You love me. I love you." You know, and they nearly fight. Well, Nightcrawler tries to attack Jean, but Jean uses her power to subdue him. Quicksilver is useless, like I said. He tries to run up to her using parts of the house, but she catches him real fast. Electrocutes him. He gets injured. He's out down for the count. They're out. Baseball, I'm doing. Yeah, and you know, and she uses her powers like kind of like her telekinesis to push back Storm and Cyclops. And Beast is gonna shoot her out, but he like freezes her. Some professor, Charles freezes Beast with his mind, and Raven tries to talk to her. So I'm your friend. And if you see in the trailer, she's like, "Get away from me!" And she's like, "I'm your friend. I'm gonna help you." He's like, "I'm your family. We love you." And I'm like, so she dies, and as she's dying, she says, "Beast." Jean just floats away, and Beast is like, "I love you," and they throw a funeral for her, and Beast is upset about this. Cyclops, Storm, and Nightcrawler tell the little younger mutants that is it true Jean murdered uh, Mystique, killed Raven? Yeah, it's true, but that's not Jean. She's still in there. She's still our Jean. We're gonna get her back. Don't worry. You know. And Charles, comes up to a destroying um, Beast, Nicholas Holt's character, who is angry. He said, "Charles, you did this. It's your fault." He's like, "I beg your pardon. It's your fault, Charles. Why don't you admit it? You made a mistake. Why don't you admit it?" And he won't admit it. Jean also does attack police officers. Promotes the public starts to distrust them. Then Jean then goes to travel to see Magneto, who's in hiding out. The meanest question who she is, but he's like, "It's all right." She's like, "How did you control your power? You kill people." I was like, "Yes, because I lost my mother, I lost some people, and I thought that pain would help it go away, but it didn't. Just the pain was still there, so I just stopped and started living peace." So he just quit being Magneto. You know, he's not the Magneto we know from comics with a helmet anymore. I don't need to know about Magneto's past in the first place. Yeah, we do see a bit of the first X-Men movie, but that establishes why he's a villain. I don't need to go more in depth in there, you know, like they did with First Class. And again, they're talking, like Jean, just calm down. Jean, calm down. She's about to use her power again. Try to calm her down. And all of a sudden, one of the mutants who's with him, she tells them that cops are here. The military is. Because I we're looking for Jean Grey. He's like, "No, you don't need to look. We're here peacefully. We're not doing anything to you. We have rights just as anybody else." Oh, and meanwhile, you see Jessica Chastain's character. I forget her character's name. She walks outside to her dog, and these aliens grab her, and she kills her husband. But the alien does, and the aliens talk about her power, that they wanted to control her power, that they could take over the world with it, make a new world. I guess is what they want to do. Yeah, but the cops arrive when she's in Magneto's when he's hiding out in the woods. Well, like they have houses and stuff. And when the military comes, she uses her powers on it, nearly kills them. Magneto uses powers. And again, I'm laughing at Michael Fassbender. I'm laughing at him because he's like, "You have an aneurysm." It's like this, "No, you have a job. I can't go much longer." Having a, if he's having a freaking seizure, I don't know. But it's just him always the top, It's more horrendous in Apocalypse when it's like, "God, why?" Or when he screams, but when he makes faces, especially like this, it's ridiculous. And after that, Jean just uses to push him back. He's like, "Leave here now, Jean. I'm protecting them." Go, and she floats away again, crying. He's like, "Why did I do that? Why did I do that?" Or it's better for Magneto. Why did I kill her? She goes to this bar pretending to be this old man. You know, TV's talking about cops are after her. Then Jessica Chastain's character, who's an alien, comes to her, explains that she was not a solar flare, but in fact a cosmic energy, because she takes Jean to place the aliens they're supposed to be eradicating the home planet years ago. The power had consumed all those that came across the space station of Jean. I don't really give a crap at this point. She explains to Jean about her powers, about what it can do. I guess bring Jean to death because they want her power. That's why. So she has convinced her. And this whole alien thing, I don't give a shit if they're in the comics or not. I don't care. This, I do. From what I've heard, though, the whole Jean Grey turned the Phoenix was in space. and that was a darker story. But in this film, it makes no sense. That's how the writing bad. It's confusing. I don't get the whole point with the alien thing. Yeah, it really makes no sense. You're just shoving things in here that makes no sense, Simon Kinberg. But anyway, Hank takes off, and Professor in the X-Jet leaves to go talk to Magneto about, you know, it's like, he tells Magneto about, if I find her a killer. Charles, I guess, is passed out drunk or whatever in his office, and on the couch, he's like, I can't find him anywhere, Charles, so they have to go stop him. They get Nightcrawler to transport them there or whatever. That Beast is going to team up with them, which I thought was kind of interesting, though. Even though the differences, though, but I don't care about any actors. But they have a battle, and he's like, the girl has to die. Charles, you stop us, then there's a little speech. It's just tiring. And get out of our way. And I do like the line, though. I do like this line where Cyclops says, "You touch her, I'll fucking kill you." He literally says that. I thought, okay, that's cool. And I see him just chasing right after, and nearly, with his beams, Cyclops beams, shooting him down. And Nightcrawler's trying to get to Jean, but the other this Mina girl, Storm is fighting this guy with this, I don't know, Great Clips man, hairdo man, can do powers, and she's fighting him, while executing him with effects. Some of the special effects in here are not good. They look like they cost $12 in this film. At least to me it did. I didn't care about the effects in this movie. They look horrible. Like no money was really used on these effects, just to cheap it out. And Charles Xavier's like, come to me, come to me. And Magneto's using a door as a shield from like Cyclops. Cyclops like grabs him. And before he can do anything, Xavier like passes Beast out for a minute. But like I said, it's cool to see him use his beams. And Magneto's like, you don't, Magneto eventually confronts us like, I'm here to kill you. You killed Raven, you know. And she crushes his helmet. He's like, crushes his helmet and just doesn't kill him, but pushes him out. And Magneto's passed out. Eventually confronts Charles, and Charles, she realizes the truth because she gets him to walk, reads his mind. Again, I don't like what they did with, they did make Professor X looking like an asshole in X-Men Last Stand. And I like that Jean used her fully. I like that the fact that it was in space, it was in the water. I mean, I know they should have done that, but I do like that it was the Phoenix. It wasn't this hot, Again, it was from the comics, but I was fine with it. That the Phoenix has always been inside her. It's always this creature that always been inside of her. That kind of was just made inside of her. If that makes any sense. And when in X Men Last Stand, I didn't like the kill of Professor X either. But when you did it, you see all that anger stuff. And Jean is more of a threat in that film. I mean, her eyes turn really dark. Her face become really dark. Eyes become pitch black dark, and she's more of a threat. And here, it's just she's just kind of shooting up like this, like you see as the yellow sparks there. There's a face with like yellow sparks, and she finds out the truth that her father didn't love her. Her father blamed her for it, and he did it because he loved her, because he like a daughter almost, like he cared for her. And she realizes that. She just thinks, grows like you want the power, go for it. So she grows with the power. And I like to see when Cyclops comes and shoots at Jessica Chastain. Then they all get arrested by the cops and are put in this train. So they all get shot down by the cops. They electrocute them, like pass them out. Put like them like these collars. I guess that dampers the powers. Says Professor X, Gene, Magneto, Cyclops from Nightcrawler. And meanwhile, Xavier informs Beast that he was wrong for what he had done to Jean, but the Virgin Sisters within, I guess he forgives him. Yeah, and Cyclops says, Jean wouldn't want it that way. Once you to kill Jean, you wouldn't want that. No, all she wanted is women, ex-women to run. Women should be running this system, not men, because we're feminists in this movie. So they break out. I'll admit the train scene is decent. We get some action here with the X Men fighting because the aliens take on the cops. Cops don't have any powers. The cops get freaking killed. Yeah, because one of them jumps on a plane, and I do like it when Magneto's using his powers a couple times to break one of their necks and stuff. And when Nightcrawler gets mad, he uses his tail to cut one of them, slice one of them, and throw it like this, tail through the throat, and takes one of them out to the train, and just disappears. Lets that alien get run over and killed. Uh, Forgetting what else. Magneto does use his powers a couple times. So does Cyclops. When he's helping Charles to get to Jean, he's with his Cyclops. So we can just see using some of his Cyclops beams a little bit. That was nice. They're able to get Jean out. Jessica Chastain, they're trying to fight her back. Magneto grows with these machine guns, which is all admit is cool, kind of cool. But again, if I want to see a train scene in a Marvel movie, I'll just go watch Spider-Man 2. That was a lot better. That whole train scene was more awesome. And I'm sure Spider-Man 2.10, whatever you want to call it, the director's cut of that movie. That train scene is still better. Train fight is still better in both versions than this. Yeah, yeah, much better. Well, train, Captain Marvel that came out the same year as the 2019. The little train fight by punching the old lady and then transforms the scroll transforms itself into a man. Then she fights the scroll. That train scene is much more cooler. Batman Begins had a shitty train scene. This train scene was decent. Batman Begins, it was just you know shaky cam. Yeah, that's the only superhero movies I think that had train scenes. It's too much to think about right now. But she gets defeated by Jean. You know, the you know, Magneto's able to push all the aliens back, crushes them, and they destroy it, and then they land on this field or whatever. Oh yeah, he Xavier apologized for what he did to her, and he wanted to give her a family. She understands that. She frees herself from the restraints. Uh, so yeah, Jean in slow motion takes all the aliens that went in and tries to stab her, but she's able to like regenerate it and destroy them. She grabs the gun, as you seen the trailer, like blow them up one by one, kills these motherfuckers one by one. Excuse my language. Kills all of them, so she can't really absorb too much energy. So, she's like, "You're weak. You can't control your powers." And it's kind of like it reminded me of like she's like, then she like backs off that one of the powers, and she's like, "Nah," you know, Crowther's like, "Nope, you're getting the whole thing." And all this power that Jean has, she uses on her and destroys her. Kind of reminded me of Nick Nolte and Avengers Ang Lee's Hulk, where he's like, Nolte's like, "No, take it back. It's too much. Give it back." Surprised she didn't turn into a big old bubble and blow up, but it destroys Jessica Chastain's character. I mean, I guess she dies a hero. So the remaining X-Men return to New York. So they rename it the Jean Grey School for the Young Gifters. Xavier retires from his position as headmaster, which I thought was stupid. I'm like, what? Since this is a freaking prequel, and you've seen Days of the Future Past, you figure he'd continue to be the leader of the X-Men in the school. Is not there other mutants out there that he should help and support? More X-Men trying to be heroes and coexist with. So Xavier's just like, okay, screw it, I'm retiring. I'm like, and Xavier's still pretty young, but he's like what 40s? I would say early 40s, early late 30s, and you're retiring now. I guess Magneto's retired too. So yeah, what was the point of these other prequels? For these characters are not going to come who they're going to come to be. What's the point of the future past? Yeah. So it gives the position to Beast. Yeah. Who can't go in front of an audience and talk anyway because we're not scaring the shit out of people with his appearance. They play a game of chess and they offer him a home, just as Abraham has done him before. But a flaming phoenix was seen flying above Paris, saying that Jean's alive, flying the sky, which I don't think that's in the comics. I don't remember that being in from what I've heard. And then the movie ends there with you see the Jean in the sky flying, suggesting that she's still alive. and that the X Men still moved on. Charles retired, and yeah, she's in the sky, and that's the X Men Dark Phoenix for you. Yes, yeah. Let me get my final opinion on this movie and just get it done already. All right. Sorry, I thought I heard something. Let me get my final opinion on this film. We're 55 minutes in. All right. Summing up, I hated this movie. It was awful. This is terrible. The film is boring to watch. The story makes no sense because yeah, you have the whole thing in space, but then after that, it's just yeah, it's just the story. I didn't care about the whole thing with them throwing aliens in here just because Jessica's character being an alien. Then wanted to use her powers and stuff, and that it feels like it's just recycling X Men Last Stand. You're just throwing this in here at the last minute because yeah, the story makes no sense. It's confusing. It's boring. I did not care about Jean Grey. I did not. I don't care about Steve or Sophie Turner. I don't care about this cast at all. I hate this cast. Ty Sheridan, I think, is all right, but James Morrison is better. Yeah. What I get to like about the movie, I did like the whole thing that Cyclops got to use his beams. The train scene and the action scenes and the train scene were decent. Evan Peters, I like. I love him as Quicksilver. He's great, but he has nothing to do in here. He has one friend line like, "I do most of the work. We do space missions now." That was kind of funny, but again, when he's taken out, you don't see him to the very end of the movie. You see him telling him to get slow down. So he's completely underused. They do nothing with his character at all. Yeah, and even the director Simon Kinberg said in an interview with Mystique, "Oh, I don't know what to do with this character." He said something like, "I don't know where to go with this character." Apparently, they didn't, so they killed her off. It was stupid. They get these characters completely wrong with this movie. Mystique is a villain. She is not the leader of the X Men. That is Cyclops. Mystique is a villain. You know, she's hardly ever blue in these movies, except in the first two movies. Well, actually, First Class she accepts it, but the only time she's blue is in completely blue is Days of Future Past. Because I think Bryan Singer knew that this is the character. She's a villainess, and Magneto doesn't wear his helmet, doesn't wear his suit. You know, and Charles Xavier retiring. I'm like stupid. Yeah, and the suits suck as well. The rest of the acting is bad. The girl that plays Storm, her accent's good, but I don't care. I like Holly Berry better. I'll take her toad line in the movie. Like, you know what happened to when a toad is when the lightning is struck when the toad is struck by lightning? Same thing that happened to everything else. I'll take that line. At least I can understand it. And that's my last stand. Storm has some more badass stuff to do. When the character that zips on fast, when she takes this girl and she shocks her, that was more badass. The special effects in here are awful. The CGI is awful. Simon Kimber did a terrible job. Don't direct a movie against Simon Kimber because you suck. The cast was bored. Everybody looks like they're sleepwalking in this movie, especially Jennifer Lawrence. I hate that line. You should, the men don't do nothing around here. It should be because it's the women around here that save the men all the time. It should be called ex-women. I'm like, that's completely sexist and feminist if you ask me. It is. I think it is. As a man, I feel that's sexist toward me. I'm like, really? You calling me a weak man? Is that what you calling me? Yeah. Now I'm saying women can be badasses in movies, but you don't see me saying, "Oh, women." Well, some women I don't think are in movies that I don't like. But I love Brie Larson. I love a lot of actresses, Black Widow, that are badasses in films. Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis, Sigourney Weaver, they can be badasses in films. Yeah, Neve Campbell is a badass, and are better actresses than Jennifer Lawrence. Didn't like Jennifer Lawrence. I don't like James McCoy or Michael Fassbender. Can't stand them as characters. Nicholas Hoult, don't care. Sophie Turner, British actress. I don't care for her. Sty Sheridan, all right. Jessica Chastain, whatever. She wasn't good in this movie. It seems like she got a pretty good paycheck though. I'm sure. Cinematography is ugly. I hate the effects in it. The special effects CGI. I don't like the cinematography. When it's during the day, the cinematography does look good. The music of Hans Zimmer is just loud, obnoxious. It's terrible. I hated the music score. For 114 minutes long, it's 1 hour 54 minutes long, but the film is boring to watch. It deserved a flop. Like I said, $200 million budget, it only made 252 $4 million, and considered a flop because it is a flop. It's an awful movie. Yeah, I don't remember seeing this movie with a big audience. I saw this from theaters. I can't believe I did that. Yeah, but another thing cool, I do like the poster. That's cool. I just like the poster in the movie. I like the few things that they do with Cyclops when he says, you know, touch or I'll fucking kill you. That was a cool line. And him using the Cyclops beams. And the train scene. So some of the action here can be decent. But again, I've seen Avengers has better action. Iron Man, Captain America, the Winter Soldier has better action than this. Civil War, where the heroes are fighting each other, that was better action and more entertaining to watch. Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, the stakes were high in that movie, and Thanos was more of a threat than Jessica Chastain's character. It made sense for Thanos to build up because they build it up very less. Marvel MCU built Thanos up slowly. They took time with their characters and to build up Thanos being a big villain. They took time. Tell you about what 18 movies to get there. I'm sorry. Yeah, 18 movies to get there, 19 movies to get there. It took a while. But with these movies, it feels like it lies in studio interference because they want to rush these movies out there because again, like I said, Avengers Endgame came out April. This came out in June, so they're probably thinking at a time we need to come up with this movie because I think Infinity War came out that made billions of dollars. Avengers came out that made like $2 billion at the box office. So yeah, we need to make the money. So studios still do this today. That's why you get after the year 2019. This is before COVID hit. Well, time that COVID hit in the 2020s, where they were making these superhero movies that suck nowadays because they're trying to a lot of superhero movies now, not this one, but a year after this, they wanted to make it over 2 hours long or 3 hours nearly because they're trying to be in game. If this film tried to do that, it failed. It's boring. It's awful. Yeah, in game is 3 hours, but it has a more interesting story. I cried when Iron Man almost died. I feel something. Give me emotional connection to the characters. Simon Kimber, you can't do that. You can't direct. Don't direct a movie again. Stick to producing, and that's it. Never good. I think because this film hurt his career, back, he'll never direct a movie again. Yeah, this didn't even come close to being a hit. Endgame made billions of dollars. You know, yeah. X Men First Class, X Men Apocalypse. Those were X Men First Class was not that big of a box office hit. And yeah, this film sucks. This is what killed the X Men franchise. This is part why they made the New Mutants. We try to say, let's make a horror movie out of it. That's just stupid. Birds upside. Probably because they hear me talk about this movie, and like real birds, they're flying away because there are more dark phoenixes out there than this movie. There are more phoenixes because they can fly. But anyway, that's real life birds, not comic book birds. But anyway, just going off the rails here. But regardless, this film still sucks. But I do like some of the, like I said, some of the train scene has some decent action in it. Cyclops saying that one line and using his high beams was cool to see. I like Cyclops in action a little bit. Yeah, but this film does everything wrong. Just like with Apocalypse, even Bryson directed that, it still sucked. Yeah, they're both shit films, and this is why we don't get X Men movies right now. This is why Deadpool Wolverine part was a bigger hit. It was very longer, but it was bloodier. It had a good story. It was entertaining. They brought some people back like Blade, Wesley Snipes, Jennifer Gardner, and even Channing Tatum was good as Gambit. And X-23, Laura coming back, Wolverine's daughter. That was cool to see them in action with Deadpool. It was a lot more entertaining than this. At least that film had a story, had a unique story going on. It was very entertaining to watch. This was not entertaining. I hated this film. Oh. So anyway, my rating for X Men Dark Phoenix is 1 out of 5 stars because there's a few things like it gets 1 out of 5 stars. That still means it's a terrible movie, so I never want to watch it again. A few things I like in it does not make a good movie. It's not, in my opinion. Am I ready for the and a thumbs down for X Men Dark Phoenix? So guys, tell me in the comments down below. What do you think of X Man Phoenix, X Man Dark Phoenix? You know, Dark Shittits, Dark Chicks, Dark Shucks. You know, what do you think of this film in your opinion? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Tell me in the comments down below, guys. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Oh, and stay tuned for another 2010 series superhero review. Well, the next review. We got about how many movies to go? Right, this one is next. All right. I got 3 more 2019 films to go. All right. This is the, I believe, 23rd. On. Probably won't be watching this tonight, sadly. But this film is the 23rd film in the MCU, starring Starring Tom Holland, Samuel Jackson, Zendaya, Kobe Smulders, Jon Favreau, Martin Starr, Marissa Tomei, and Jake Gyllenhaal, and Jon Favreau, and Samuel Jackson, like I said. And that is the sequel to Spider-Man: Homecoming, and right after Avengers: Endgame, and that will be Spider-Man: Far From Home, which I do like. Yeah. How long was the film? 129 minutes. At least it has a running time. Anyway, Spider-Man: Far From Home. Sorry, this will be the next review, guys. So stay tuned, guys, for this review for Spider-Man: Far From Home, which will be my next review. And tell me in the comments down below, guys. My rating for X-Men Dark Phoenix is 1 out of 5 stars and a thumbs down. So, guys, tell me in the comments down below. What do you think of X-Men Dark Phoenix in your opinion? Do you like it? Do you hate it? If you like it, that's fine. I don't understand why, but cool. But this film is frustrating and aggravating, and it's just terrible to me. And this, yeah. And guys, what is your favorite X-Men movies? How would you rank the X-Men movies, including with the prequel films and the original movie? How would you rank all of them? Even Deadpool Wolverine, if you've seen that, you can rank it too. How would you rank all of them? What is your favorite X Men movie? Mine is X2, X Men United. And what are some of your least favorite? What are some of your favorite X Men movies and least favorite? And who's your favorite X Men character? Well, mine is Wolverine. So 1 out of 5 stars for X Men Dark Phoenix. Thumbs down. Got that done. And stay tuned for the next review. That will be Spider Man: Far From Home. So then after this, there'll be two more 2019 movies that came out in October, and then I don't know when, but we'll get to the 2020 superhero reviews. You'll see like a finally quick update. But we got about three more videos to go before that, starting with Spider-Man: Far From Home, which is next. This came out in July, so yep, Spider-Man: Far From Home is next. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned as I swing into that review, crawl my way into it. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry for the bad puns. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye. Oh, that's not X-Men. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye bye.